And on the Facebook group last week, I posted up how excited I was for the new VR experiences coming from both Facebook's Oculus group and Valve. And I got some responses that I think are really the pain points that consumers are experiencing with VR currently. Joanne points out that it requires a lot of bulky hardware and you need a good space in which to use it because you're often tethered to the computer. And Zero here has an Oculus Rift but isn't using it all that much because he doesn't like that experience of being tethered to something. And I think probably there's just so much stuff to set up every time you need to use your Rift, clearing the space out and getting your sensor bars up and everything, that it's almost not worth it by the time you get it up and running because you spent half an hour just trying to get everything calibrated and configured. And that is why I think the Oculus Quest might have some legs when it comes out later this month. Now you can pre-order it right now. This is a standalone VR experience, not the first one we've seen, but one that I think has a little bit more of a marketing muscle behind it, which may result in consumers adopting it a little bit more perhaps than we've seen other standalone systems do. Now from a specification standpoint, this isn't much, but it's good enough. It's got an OLED display, which should give you decent blacks on screen, nice contrast ratio on those OLED devices. The refresh rate is not spectacular, but it's good enough, 72 Hertz. The resolution is actually better than the Oculus Rift and the new Rift S that's also coming out this month, 1440 by 1600 per eye. It only has 4 gigs of RAM and is powered by a Snapdragon 835. These specs are pretty much identical to what we saw from Lenovo last year with their first standalone VR headset called the Mirage Solo. Now this ran Google's Daydream VR interface, which you can get on your smartphone with a headset or as a standalone self-contained device here that Lenovo put out. I don't think it's sold very well, primarily because Google hasn't put a lot of effort into marketing their virtual reality experience. But I found this to be, for a kind of a low-end piece of hardware, a very compelling experience because you didn't need to set up anything to use it. You just put it on and it worked. You could walk around a space, get that 6 degrees of freedom. I was even able to disable the safety controls on it and walk around my entire space here inside of a VR game that I was playing. It was pretty cool. You can check out that video linked down below in the master playlist. And I think Oculus and Lenovo have teamed up on hardware. Lenovo is making the new Rift S headset, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're also making the Quest, given that this device they released last year has the same exact specifications. It's pretty much a high-end smartphone here. But the difference, though, is that Facebook has got a lot of developers on board for this. They've got the controllers with 2 controllers that can replicate a lot of what you might get in a PC experience with lower graphics, and I think it might actually do fairly well. Now last year, of course, Oculus released the Oculus Go, which is another standalone headset, but this one lacked the 6 degrees of freedom. You can only just look around and it had a single controller. It's not all that expensive though, and I think it actually sold better than you might think. I was seeing a lot of interest on this around the holiday season on the YouTube channel, and I also do videos on Amazon's video shorts, and I was getting a ton of traffic on these because I think they were a Black Friday special. And I think there is this consumer interest to try out VR, but all of the PC-based solutions are just too much. Now, one other thing that Oculus is doing is having some cross-buy as part of the deal. Now, I don't know if any Oculus Go titles will be eligible for this, but apparently if you are a Rift owner like Zero, there are a number of games that will show up on your Quest for free without an additional purchase. So check out that link from Upload VR and see if your favorite game that you are not playing on the Rift is available on the Quest, and you might have a few titles to start out with if the tethering hasn't been doing it for you. So take a look at that. Now on the higher end is the Valve Index, and this was also released for pre-order last week. Now I did pre-order one. It is not cheap. The whole kit here, as you can see, with the knuckle controllers and the 2 light posts and the headset is $1,000. But if you have an HTC Vive, your old sensors will work with the new hardware. So some people may just want to get the headset, some may want to get the headset and the controllers, and you can have a choice as to what you pick up depending on what you already have. I did get the whole kit just because I plan on selling my Vive, and We'll do a review of this when it comes out. Now, this is more of the same. It's tethered to a PC. You've got to have all the stuff set up and calibrated, but if you want the top-end experience, the new Index will be it, I think, and a lot of high-end PC VR people are very excited about it. So it's got a very high refresh rate. Most of the games are going to be at 120 hertz, but it can go up to 144 hertz. And the big selling point on this one is that the display has a very low persistence rate in that it can change an image completely in 0.330 milliseconds, according to their specification sheet, which means that you won't get a lot of ghosting, even though you're going to pay a bit of a blackness penalty due to the fact that they're not using OLED but are using LED. LEDs can really be a lot faster than OLED, and they made a choice here, and I think it's probably the better one. You won't really notice the difference in black levels unless you're going side by side with an OLED display at the same time. They also said it will get 50% more subpixels, so the images will look sharper and more realistic. 1440 by 1600 per eye, just like the Oculus Quest is, but of course you'll be driving it with a high-end PC and GPU, so those images will look a lot better, and the quality of the display might be a little bit better as well, even though it's the same resolution. So what I'm going to be using is my GTX 1080 powered gaming PC that I've got upstairs. The main processor is old. It's a Haswell i7 from about 4 years ago, but it's been fine for VR, and I think this will do well. But I think if you have higher-end GPUs, you'll even do better. So we'll see exactly what I'm able to do with it when it does finally come out.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold-level supporters, the Four Guys with Quarters podcast, Tom Albrecht, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.